Hi folks, this is Mr. Forster and welcome to week 2 of distance learning. I'm trying to be more organized. I'm going to do this video and all of the links that you need for this week, which are Khan Academy and the Zoom meetings and anything else that will be a link would be accessed through the first comment of this week in your email or in the stream section of Google Classroom. So, this video covering 3 topics. Let me go over them. First is daily attendance form. You will see another thing in the link or the comments section will be the daily attendance form. I'd like you to open that daily, complete it, and submit it every day. The second thing we're going to talk about is Khan Academy. This is week 2, and so we're going to go up to quiz number 2. There's a link below the comments, or in the comments, below the comments for Monday. I want you to open it, look at the assignments tab, spend 30 minutes a day. That's not that much. There are videos. Watch them, practice, do them. If you have difficulties, bring questions to office hours Tuesdays and Thursdays from 11:30 to 12:30, or Wednesday Zoom classes, and those are held on different times. And then quiz number 2 is the end of assignment number 2, and I have a little saying, it's a quiz a week. And so you're going to look at the assignment due dates. That's important. These assignments are due May 3rd. There are other assignments that are due May 10th, and you can do more than that, more than the May 3rd assignments, but I'd like you to do all of the May 3rd assignments and quiz number 2. That is the end of the May 3rd assignments. So let me go now to Khan Academy. So let me show you now about Khan Academy. There have been some questions about Khan Academy, and I want to clarify those. So first off, you can access Khan Academy through the link in the comments section right below the comment for the week, and it's right next to the video that you're looking at right now. It's probably right above it. So when you get into Khan Academy through Google Classroom, you will see this page. This is my stepson's account, and so when you see this, you're going to click on assignments. And then you see over here due dates, and that's an important thing to look at. Due dates, these are the assignments. Today's Sunday, and it's Sunday afternoon, so the first assignment is due tomorrow, or today at midnight. So these are the due dates. This is not next week's assignment. So we're going to go down here, and we're going to go to next. And then here is today's assignment. So we're going to go to next again. And now we see May 3rd. May 3rd is the due date for week 2's assignment. And so here is a list of all the things I want you to do. And let's go click on this first one. Oh, the first one here. There's quiz number 1. That's the end of week 1. Here is, and the stuff you didn't do up here in Khan Academy, you can do that later, but I want you to start right here. And so we have rational versus irrational. And look here, there's a video that we can watch. It's a lesson and by Mr. Khan, and very good, and explains all of the questions. So watch all of the videos. The next thing, so here we are at May 3rd. We watched that video. Maybe we took notes. Here's another video, I think. Let's look here. Yeah, another video about class numbers. The next thing we're going to do is, here's some practice. And so there are some questions here. Let's look at it. Is the following number rational or irrational? Well, I know that pi is an irrational number, so 0.3 times pi will make it an irrational number. And you'll learn that as you go through these videos. So back to the dashboard. And so I want you to go through all of those sections that say May 3rd, and there are several of them, but you have this is the week's assignment, and the saying that I like you to remember is a quiz a week. So we're going to find here, oh, here's May 10th. That's too far. That's week 3's work. You could start on that after you've done all of week 2, but here's quiz number 2, end of week 2, and you would take the quiz. So that's how you access Khan Academy. I can see the time that you spend on it, and I can see where you're having difficulty. A very important thing for you to realize. I want you to watch the videos and bring your questions to the office hours and to our Wednesday classrooms. That way, we can discuss, or I can help you with specific questions. So write down any questions that you have, and I can help you with that. So I hope that clarifies how to get to Khan Academy and what your assignment is for this week. It's all of the things that say May 3rd. Oh, look at that. That's what I did the first time. I only got 57%. So that's okay. It says I could try again, so you could do it over again. So anyway, 30 minutes a day on Khan Academy, and the assignments are May 3rd. If you finish that and didn't do the previous week's assignment, let's go down here, and you can go back here to previous, and you can see all the stuff that I've assigned so far. Here is the stuff that's due today, and so all of these previous assignments, if you didn't do those, you could go back and do that. If you've done everything, then you can go on to the May 10th assignment. So hopefully that clarified everything about Khan Academy. So, concept number 1 of the 2 very short lessons I'm going to give you, they can also be seen on Khan Academy, by the way, as videos. The first concept is rational versus irrational numbers. I'd like you to look at the word rational. Look at that right there. It says ratio. And a ratio, I'd like you to think of as a fraction. So, a rational number can be written as a fraction of 2 integers. So, a rational number can be written as a fraction. So, of course, fractions can be written as fractions. And all we're doing is classifying here rational versus irrational numbers. So, of course, fractions can be written as fractions. Decimals can be written as fractions. And repeating decimals, we learned if you did the first week's lessons, repeating decimals can be written as fractions. Integers, negative and positive whole numbers and zeros. Integers cannot be fractions. Oh, yes, they can be if we put a 1 under there, but they can't be decimals. So unless it's 0.0, 1.0. But anyway, an integer is a positive or negative whole number and 0, but of course we can write them as fractions also if we put a 1 on the bottom like that. So they are also rational numbers. Whole numbers like 0, 1, 2, 3. Those are rational numbers because also they can be written as fractions. And then square roots. Well, square roots of perfect squares, as we learned last week if you did the lesson, the square root of 25 asks what number times itself equals 25, and the answer is 5, but 5 is 5 over 1, so that could be written as a rational number. And this is also a perfect square, believe it or not. 0.3 times 0.3 equals 0.09, and 0.3 is 3/10. That is a rational number. So what are irrational numbers? Irrational numbers means not rational or can't be written as a fraction. There are basically 3 categories. Just really easy to remember. Square roots of non-perfect squares. So, the square root of 2, the square root of 3, the square root of 4. Nope, the square root of 4 is 2, so that's rational. But the square root of 2 is, if you did that on a calculator, is 1.4142136, blah, 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 and it keeps going. Square root of 10, also, it's not half of 10, it's not 5, it's what number times itself equals 10, and of course 3 times 3 is 9, so it's a little bit more than 9, but it's an irrational number. It's not a perfect square. These are perfect squares, rational. Not perfect squares, not rational. The second category of irrational numbers is pi. Remember, pi r squared. It's used in circles. Pi, 3.141592, and it keeps going and going and going. And it's an irrational number. It cannot be written as a fraction. These cannot be written as a fraction. And the last type of category of irrational numbers is really using an irrational number, an expression. So pi minus 1, of course, 3.141592 minus 1 would be 2.141592, blah, blah, blah. And so that also would be irrational. And square root of 8, which is not a perfect square, divided by 2, that would also be an irrational number. So irrational numbers and expressions, unless it's pi divided by pi, you have to think about those. That would be equal to 1. But here, another thing important to know is that irrational numbers, irrational numbers, as decimals, they never repeat. So this number pi goes on and on and on forever and ever, and it never repeats, even though it keeps going and going and going. And it never ends as a decimal, so it never repeats and never ends. Now, repeating decimals are rational, but these, as decimals, never repeat and never ends. That's just an interesting piece of information about irrational numbers. 3 types: square roots of non-perfect squares, pi, and irrational numbers and expressions. I hope that clarifies the difference between a rational and an irrational number. Remember, ratio is a fraction. And so you can now do the first part of Khan Academy. Okay, so lesson number 2, concept number 2, again, of Mr. Forster's 2 brief lessons for the week, is about approximating the value of irrational numbers or expressions. Now, all of these on Khan Academy have videos and lessons. In fact, I think I might have stolen this lesson or these examples from Khan Academy lesson itself. But let me talk about the next concept. So there are 2 concepts. The first concept was about what's rational versus irrational, and now we're approximating the value of irrational numbers or expressions. So here's an example number 1. Approximate the square root of 86. Well, some people might say, oh, it's 43. No, the square root is not half. Okay? It is not 43. So what I like to start off with is the 2 perfect squares that are below and above 86. Well, I know the square root of 81. What number times itself equals 81? That's 9. 81 is a perfect square, and the square root of 81 is 9. I also know that 100 is a perfect square. The square root of 100 is a perfect square, And so, what number times itself equals 100? That's 10. So the square root of 86 is between 9 and 10. It's between 9 and 10 on the number line. But I don't know exactly what it is. Here's a way to approximate it. 81 is 5 away from 86. So I put 5 there. It's 81 is 5 away from 86. 100 is 14 away from 86. And 81 is 19 away from 100. So I know the number square root of 86 is 9 something. And in fact, the fact that it's 5 here and 14 here, I know that the square root of 86 is less than 9.5 because this is a smaller number than that. If they were both equal, it'd be exactly 9.5. But since this is smaller, this is less than 9.5. So I'm going to use these numbers, 5 and 19, and I'm going to say it's 9 and 5/19 of the way. So let's go over here. It's 9 and 5/19. And if we wanted to find that on the number line as a decimal, we could go 5 divided by, top dog inside the doghouse, and we divide by 19, and I put a decimal, and it's 0.2, there's 38, I subtract 12, and I bring down a 0, and that's 6 times 19, and I believe it was 154, and I erased part of my division here, but it was 0.263, so I'm going to tack that onto the end. Remember, irrational numbers never end and never repeat, so I'm approximating. It's just an about. So 9.263, it doesn't have an exact location, but I'm going to say it's about there. 9 1/4 would be 9.25, so it's a little bit above 9 1/4. So that's how we approximate square roots. Example number 2 of concept number 2, which is estimating irrational numbers or expressions. So there's questions like this. Order on the number line pi over 2 or pi divided by 2, the square root of 5 or 3.12 repeating, or 3.121212. I wrote that again right there. So first off, in order to put these on a number line, we have to approximate their values. So let's approximate their values. And I wrote the word about here. So pi over 2 is 3.14 about divided by 2. And I can do that in my head kind of. 3.2 cut in half is 1.6. So I'm going to say it's about 1.6. It's maybe 1.57, but 1.6 is close enough. The square root of 5, about. Well, the square root of 4 is 2, so the square root of 5 must be 2.1, maybe 2.2, I don't know, but it's above 2. So I know that pi over 2 is about 1.6. The square root of 5, because it's bigger than the square root of 4, and the square root of 4 is 2, the square root of 5 is bigger than 1. And then this one, 3.121212, that's easy. That's actually can be written as a decimal. If you did lesson 1, week 1, that's 3 12/99. But for the purpose of finding it on the number line, it's about 3.1212. So we have the square root of 5 is about 2.1. We have pi divided by 2 is about 1.6. So I know it's a little bit above 1.5. And here are the three numbers on the number line. I could also say that's the smallest, that's the middle one, and that's the largest. If we put negative signs in front of those, of course, everything would be kind of flipped over. And that would be the smallest, and that would be the middle one still, and that would be the biggest. So, but just remember, negative numbers, these would still be irrational numbers with a negative sign in front of them. So anyway, that's my lesson for concepts 1 and 2. So I recommend you go to Khan Academy, look at all of the videos, and try to do the practice problems. And meet me on office hours on Tuesdays and Thursdays from 11:30 to 12:30, or on our Wednesday class time meetings, which varies depending on your period. Thank you, and have a great week. I'm available to help, but I'm trying my best to help you guys get started. So if there are any questions, email me or meet you at Zoom office hours or classroom meetings. Thank you, and have a great day.